Mark Leibovich, CBS News political contributor and the chief national correspondent for the New York Times Magazine, good enough to join us on set. I would perhaps invert those titles. Equally impressive, however, Mark. Thanks for being here.
Whatever you find the most impressive, Josh, you should lead with.
Well, what's not impressive, at least for the Clinton campaign, is...
Oh, good transition there.
Yeah, like that? Mm-hmm. That's why they, yeah.
Yeah.
15,000 plus. Mm-hmm. This is now, I think, for somebody just tuning in at home, if you will, becoming almost impossible to parse now. Which batch is this? Why are we hearing about 15,000 more and all just a big piece of red meat to toss to the Trump campaign? How damaging?
Well, anytime you have the words previously undisclosed or new emails have been located, things like that have been uncovered. Uncovered is a bad word. Mm-hmm. It's not good, especially when people, like you said, are now just maybe starting to tune into the election campaign. I mean, this is all part of a process. It's not like someone found a box somewhere under a desk and they had been hiding them. But having said that, but the sort of slow and uneven pace of these disclosures does, one, guarantee that this thing is just going to trickle into October, November, what have you. But also, it reinforces the honesty question, the transparency question that has been dogging here for a long time and continues to.
It seems like, there's a real death by a thousand cuts element here. You mentioned that specifically when asked in one poll, how trustworthy do you think she has been with regard to her treatment of her email as the Secretary of State? Only 27% think that she's been honest and trustworthy about it, and frankly, that's a pretty high number at this point.
It's a very high number, yeah, and it's commensurate with the larger trust and issues that have again been part of the perception of her. I mean, look, she's been giving very kind of lawyerly, kind of procedurally, very cautious responses. Most people don't know the details of this email saga. They certainly don't know State Department procedure. They don't know what the FBI looked into, what they didn't look into. I don't think Trump does either, by the way. I don't think he's particularly interested in the details here. And I think he seems pretty bored by this issue, otherwise, which is why he sort of goes into other areas. But yeah, look, it fits a narrative. I mean, it's a classic political argument that anything that reinforces pre-existing stereotypes is a bad thing. This certainly fits into that category.
And interestingly, the leitmotif here too is that this is all transpiring as she continues to keep a free press essentially at bay. She has not spoken in a press conference setting in many, many months, 9 or so to be exact. And there she is yucking it up on Jimmy Kimmel. The optics are what for you?
Well, as a member of the media, the optics are distasteful. Can an optic be distasteful? Whatever it was,
it is now.
I didn't like it. I mean, I wish she would do a press conference. Yeah. I mean, I said, I mean, I have a horse in this. I want people to be able to see her. I want to be able to ask questions of her. And I mean, I think in itself, I mean, an appearance like this on Jimmy Kimmel is sort of safe. It's fun. I mean, she comes off well, as most politicians do in that setting. But, in the context of what people see as being very, very secretive, untransparent, I think it's kind of a bad look.
Disarming via entertainment, something certainly her opponent is very familiar with.
Right.
In speaking about Donald Trump, certainly there's been a lot of news in the last 72 hours or so regarding his flip-flop or not, regarding his very hardline immigration stance. He assured Bill O'Reilly last night that he wants a firm but fair policy. However, he stopped short of saying anything had really changed. I want to play just a bit of what he told him and get your thoughts on the other side.
Sure.
We're going to obey the existing laws. Now, the existing laws are very strong. The existing laws, the first thing we're going to do, if and when I win, is we're going to get rid of all of the bad ones. We got gang members, we have killers, we have a lot of bad people that have to get out of this country. We're going to get them out, and the police know who they are. They're known by law enforcement who they are. We don't do anything. They go around killing people and hurting people, and they're going to be out of this country so fast your head will spin. We have existing laws that allow you to do that. As far as everybody else, we're going to go through the process. What people don't know is that Obama got tremendous numbers of people out of the country. Bush, the same thing. Lots of people were brought out of the country with the existing laws. Well, I'm going to do the same thing, and I just said that.
Okay, but here's what everybody wants to know.
We want to do it in a very humane. Okay. We want to do it in a very humane manner.
lauding President Obama. Fascinating.
Somewhat, yeah.
And for those perhaps just checking in to this election season, this is actually a much softer stance than obviously he's had. This has been a cornerstone of his campaign. They were going to round up 11 to 12 million undocumented immigrants and send them out of the country, their families out of the country. He is now, seems as though he's walking it back, although later in the same interview, he washed his hands of a reference he had made to Dwight Eisenhower and Operation Wetback, which was anything but humane. What to make of the vagueness?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even call it a stance. I mean, we have existing laws, they're very strong. You know, there are a lot of bad guys, we're going to get rid of them. I mean, is that a stance? And then he starts, you know, using words like humane and fair, which are not words he used in the primary. I mean, these are very, these are softer words. I mean, so, you know, it's unclear what he's doing. I mean, it's like, basically what he said to Bill O'Reilly is there are bad guys, we're going to get rid of them. But, you know, President Bush, President Obama have been getting, you know, been deporting people, so we're going to do it too. I mean, it was I found that a little bit muddled.
Is this Kellyanne Conway? And by the way, Kellyanne Conway on one hand, but with Steve Bannon on the other hand, they certainly would exist on two very diametrically opposed sides of this issue, such as it is.
Yeah, I mean, the two of them, I don't know. I mean, I think it's Donald Trump. I mean, I think it seems I'll say this, it seems more confused than it has, you know, at least up until about a week ago when they brought in this new team. I don't know if he's hearing mixed messages. I mean, in a way, it's sort of a clumsy pivot or maybe a clumsy attempt to pivot because, I mean, on one hand, you could say maybe he's reaching out to Hispanic voters, or maybe he's trying to not have as hard a line in a way that would.
Well, and it comes on the heels of a meeting with a group
Right.
a group of Hispanic advisors. It would seem, connecting dots, to be rather straightforward pandering here.
Well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call any of this straightforward because it changes. Really, it's changed a few times in the last few days. So I would say that. You know, if you want to be, it's sort of clumsy politics because it's sort of unclear what he's doing. And if you're going to really pivot, why now? I mean, why do it this way? Maybe there's a calculus involved that they say, you know, look, if we can get 10% of Hispanic voters instead of 8%, we're going to, you know, win X number of voters in Nevada or Ohio or wherever. But I don't know. Maybe that's giving them too much credit.
Well, he's certainly shown a real knack for existing on both sides of an issue, often in one sentence. Mark Leibovich, betide and always.
Betide. Is that a word?
It is now.
Is it hyphenated? B-tide?
No, that's one word.
Wow, betide.
You could use it for Scrabble.
Fit to be tied.
Thanks, pal.
Thanks, Josh.